SRO, ladies and gentlemen, it's sitting room only. Come on, and some extra pillows we brought.
That was beautiful, Saul. That was just a very beautiful, special vision and musical experience. It was really lovely. As many of you know, I do storytelling, and oftentimes my stories are imbued with a lot of humor, because people like to laugh. They want to laugh. But it's also, I feel, equally valuable to sometimes think about some of the sweet things and the bittersweet things in life. And see you soon, Rabbi. Oh, come on back, Rabbi. Welcome back. Welcome back. Your dreams have all changed since you've hung around. Anyway, that's Welcome Back, our theme song, just for now, gentlemen. Hey, sweat hogs. Oh, the whole shack. Juan Epstein. Boo Boo Moncton. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. I know. Look at Hodaya, a real star of the show. Beautiful.
When did you grow?
It was yesterday. Somewhere over the last 2 years.
So I wanted to just tell a few things about our departed and beloved teacher and tzaddik Hanan Feld, Zichrono Livracha, who I remember the first time I saw him at Chabad, actually. And he was the one with the longest beard. And he looked like a member of ZZ Top, but from. And I thought, this guy's got to be really intense. And I just, I saw him with a bit of awe, and I kind of kept my distance. Until one day somebody, Rachel Israel, or now Rosenfeld, said, you should go over to the Felds for, dinner. They're your kind of people. I went over and I walked in, and there was this guy. He just looked at me and I thought, oh God. And he turned out to be one of the friendliest, warmest people that I've ever met. And one of the most caring and responsive people. He helped me through many, many complex and difficult shilas, as did Reb Welton. Can I eat dairy equipment chocolate after I've had a burger? Things that can really, weigh on a person's soul. And I remember, everybody talks about how much Hanan was very loving and sweet and open to everyone, but he also had this other side to himself, which was part of the love, but it involved things like, I once asked him, Hanan, do you think about Gehenna? And he said, I imagine a flaming fire in front of me at all times. And I was like, really? He's like, all the time. All the time, and one of the things they say, it takes you 40 years to realize what your rabbi's teaching you, and it's taken me a few years to realize that maybe he was joking. He was very fond of saying, and I asked him about like Gehenna and things like that, and he would say, panic now, avoid the rush later. So that was his way of trying to keep me on the upper road. But one of the things, as I mentioned, he had a very, very long beard. So he was really into the power of beards. And he was very, very concerned about making sure that I grew my beard. And so I used to grow my beard, and then I'd shave it, and then I'd grow it. And I remember one time, it was about to be Slichas, and it was the week before Rosh Hashanah, and I had just shaved, and I walked in, and Hanan looked at me like this, which is not a look you want to get from Hanan. But anyway, I had a shiloh for him, which is, I tend to hold by a lot of Chabad minhagim. And one of the Chabad minhagim is you don't have to do that whole week of slichos during between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. So, I'd shaved for Rosh Hashanah, and so I said, standing there with my nice shining face, I said, so Hanan, do I have to say, I hold by Chabad Minhag, do I have to say Slichas between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur? And he looked at me and he said, you do. You do. So, he had a very sweet and loving way of doing things. And, I had this, I was saying earlier, I had this interesting relationship with Daniel Feld, he was 14, I was 32, we were best friends. And I think it's far more of a compliment to him than the other way around, so, we would do things, and, he was a 14-year-old boy, and we would get into trouble, we would stay out way too long. We'd go on road trips without really telling his parents, because I could drive. I was 32. I didn't have to tell my parents. We could just leave town. And rent movies from Elephant Pharmacy and not return them for 6 months until a very large bill arrived at the Feld residence. And I distinctly remember once coming back from a road trip with Daniel. And we came up from Fresno. We came up on the Amtrak train, and eventually got to Richmond and took the BART into North Berkeley. And his dad, Hanan, picked us up, and I could tell that something was not right. Daniel was definitely in trouble. He was not supposed to have gone out of town, I think. And of course, me being the accomplice, I also sat in the back seat, 32 years old, feeling like I was on my way home to get grounded. But he was gentle with me, and I think I probably said some slichas, and I was sent on my merry way. But there is one story that I actually have never told anyone. It's a very short story that happened with Hanan and me. It was really a moment, and I don't even know if Hanan was aware of the moment. It was when he was sick, but not, he was still coming to shul, and, I can't remember exactly what happened, but I was holding some kind of grudge towards him. I don't know, maybe he got picked off at me one day, or I don't remember what it was. And I was sitting there outside, and I was just thinking, God, I had this whole thing in my head. Hanan, the sort of way we get into our resentments, like, I'm gonna win this argument in my head, and then I'll feel victorious. And Hanan, just as I was having that thought, walked around the corner and looked at me. And it was this deep, penetrating look that sort of let me know time is precious. Time is precious. These moments that we have with each other are precious. And it's something that, I really, really came full circle to yesterday at the Beit Midrash on our final Shabbos, which was recognizing that life is fleeting. And the hurts and the resentments that we hold on to really should not get in the way of the love that we actually feel for each other and the care that we have for each other. I was in South Africa earlier this year, and I think it's in the same parsha, if I'm not mistaken, and please correct me if I'm wrong, where we're told not to hold a grudge against our fellow man and to rebuke him. I don't know if it's the same parsha, but I think it was. And I asked the rabbi, how does that work? Don't hold a grudge, but make sure you rebuke your fellow man. And what was explained to me was that the rebuking is actually expressing your feelings to this person so that you can let go of the grudge, so that you can move forward. To say, I've been holding on to this thing or what have you, and then you let it go, and then you can experience, the love for your fellow man, and you feel more shalom, and they feel more shalom. So I don't want to get too heavy, because I know this is supposed to be an uplifting evening, but I did want to bring in some of the sweetness and some of the depth that has also been a part of the experience here. And, it's so beautiful to see Hachaim. I can't tell you, because I remember so many times sitting next to Nathaniel in shul for years, talking about being single, and now he's a father and a husband, and it's just beautiful. I'm just so happy. So I want